other big business that we're talking about tonight is the business of sport and the business of cricket. Now, there is a big change happening over there because it's a huge franchise when we talk about the Indian Premier League, the IPL. But the latest ratings when it comes to television, this is the BARC data that we're looking at, the TAM Sport data that we're looking at, is showing a drop in viewership, an average fall of 26%. What does it indicate? Is it all about, how we are watching our cricket matches? Because there is a lot of, screens that we watch cricket on. Is that moving? And is that fragmentation really showing the real picture right now? How are sponsorships dwindling as well? And that is an entire game in itself. When you talk about the big franchise model of Indian cricket, which is the IPL, there are big shifts that are happening. We have this question, hence, about IPL. Now that you're seeing that slump in TV viewership, what is it really indicating? Has franchise cricket peaked too soon? Let's take that across to our panel. And we have former cricketer Atul Vasan joining us on the show today. And of course, joining him is Nikhil Paramjit Sharma. He's the founder and CEO of Slate Sports Management. Great to have you both. Welcome to The Big Question. Atul, for years, the IPL was seen as cricket's most exciting product. But now the question is, has the cricket itself become too predictable? The pitches, the 220-run totals, very little balance between bat and ball. It's so much about the batting. Has that fundamentally shifted audience interest?
Well, I think there are three parts to your answer, if I may.
Okay.
So there is one of law of diminishing returns. Is too much of cricket on similar kind of content all year round. And just 20 days after the World Cup, you try to throw down these 74 matches over 2 months in the throat of the hardcore fans. It's too much. Secondly, I think there's economic factor as well, where there's the real gaming money. Real money gaming fantasy leagues has been taken out of the equation. So that personal skin in the game and my investment has gone out. So that has also taken away a large chunk of people who were actually invested in the match every day. And I think the third thing is that the cricket point of view, which I'm loath to saying that, but I hardly watch T20 game because first of all, the hyperbolic commentary, English commentary is still okay. If you listen to the Hindi and the regional commentary, it's cringeworthy, and I feel sorry to see the great players of the past bow down to the mandate of the channels to shout over the top. And you don't know it because every match seems like I'm watching highlights, and 200+ scores are being chased down. There is a toss factor, which if you lose a toss, you tend to lose the match because chasing down runs have become so easy. So predictability, yes. Flat pitches, bowlers are just turning up to get hit. These are the few factors I feel is taking the charm away. And I think we need to do something really fast because, the TV ratings are declining. The digital rating, I'm not sure, but streaming is going up. So I think how people are consuming this product is also shifting.
Nikhil, how much of the factors do you agree with? This softer engagement trend, the weaker advertiser participation, you think it's a temporary dip or the first real sign of franchise cricket fatigue, if I may call it that?
No, Vikram, I think it's way too early to call it, a franchisee cricket fatigue. I think, much like how the world's experienced a fair bit of disruption, and I say disruption in cricket in a much in a nicer sense. I think the way we've started consuming sport, specifically cricket in India, is very different now. Gone are the days when I think we're looking at numbers slightly with a unidimensional view. We talk about TVRs falling about 18%, but on the contrary, engagement is up 18% with almost 1 billion views odd. So it doesn't matter if you're watching cricket on TV, on phones, or on your devices. It's just as long as you're watching cricket, I think there's still a lot of cricket being viewed in the country. And mind you, it's only a dipstick when you move out to malls, when you move out to shopping arenas, autos, a lot of places. I personally experience people on their devices. IPL's become like the evening go-to space for a lot of families and people. And I do believe while recalibration is the name of the game as far as the organizations are concerned in cricket, I just don't think IPL is anywhere close to hitting its peak as of now. I think there's a long way to go there as far as that recalibration and reassessment keeps happening in terms of presentation to the fans. Vikram?
Yes, indeed. Atul, what do you make of that? You are nodding vigorously, though all your points, the factors that you mentioned were contrary. But, these tactics as well that have come to play, have they become too template-driven is the other question, because these matchups, the power hitting, the data analytics. So one wonders if that instinctive cricket and the unpredictability of cricket has reduced over time, and that is what's taking away the interest.
Well, let me tell you, see, every team has got these data analytics and
Yes.
matchups and all. So everybody is spending a lot of money on these frill factors, but only few of them, after they start winning, they can attribute to that. So I think if you put it that way, so now you have to justify the kind of money spent by the franchises by hiring all these specialists. And they have to crunch numbers. But it's cricket, where the bowler is going to bowl, he's not sure. It might be just 6 inches here and there. Where the batsman wants to hit, might not be so sure. Where the ball is going to be there, players might not be there. So, but if everything falls into place, they say, yes, the data is working for them. But for the people who are losing every week, day in and day out, they're also spending the same time on data. What's happening to their data? So I think this is the real God particle. When they're Hog's Boston, is that you can't just attribute all your success to these data matchups and all that. And that movie came, Moneyball or something, and everybody got so excited. And Rajasthan Royals won because of that, and then it becomes a legend. But it is not really true. Cricket has got its own intrinsic kind of X factor, which you have to actually play well at that particular point of time. But I would say the same. That IPL is not dying; it's just evolving.
Right.
And I want this product to survive. But I think if we don't recalibrate, as the gentleman said, and I think you have to tweak it because because people are getting so much of it every day.
Yes.
Everything in instant gratification. If I want to eat something from Zomato, just runs in. If I want to buy something, just delivers to me. Blink it. So I think cricket also cannot be occupy your bandwidth so much as before, and you've got too many options. So you have to curtail it down, make it more competitive. Should not seems like predictable.
On that point of instant gratification, if I may, Nikhil, are advertisers also looking for that instant gratification? Are they becoming more selective because now audiences are fragmented? Or is it because the IPL no longer guarantees, the same undivided national attention it once did? That's why they are changing tactic.
I think, again, recalibration is the word. I think the brands are also understanding that it's not just, spreading yourself thin, but entrenchment that matters a lot. Any fan that's involved with, say, a franchise, you go to Chennai, I think the city stops working on the day, Chennai Super Kings play. And every brand, I'm even talking about a brand that initially sponsored them way back when the IPL started. A lot of people associate Chennai Super Kings with that particular brand. So I don't think, yes, again, there's you're talking about 31% of brands, but those are number of brands that have associated. The number invested has gone up, so it's also important to look at the numbers. I was seeing how passionate Mr. Vasan was in terms of, just the purity of the sport. One of the things that I feel the BCCI and the IPL has to really strongly look at is to keep the competition even, right? I don't think a young kid growing up today would want to be a bowler. Soon enough, in 5 years or 10 years, you'd have bowling machines, bowling to 11 batsmen coming one after the other, if this particular trend keeps on going. So it's very important that we have the balance in sport running. And as far as, IPL franchisees are concerned, I think there will be a consolidation of brands, but as brand entrenchment will be stronger, Vikram, going forward.
Atul, yes, go ahead. And Atul, one quick question. Yeah. Put your point across and tell me, if you could change one thing immediately to make IPL feel fresh again, what would it be?
Just make the pitches more interesting. Let the bowler bowl more than one bouncer and over. And many others. If a batsman can do the switch hit, let the bowler also just come up and decide to bowl from wherever he wants.
Right.
So I think that it have to make it difficult for the batsman. Having said that, I think when the gentleman mentioned the brands, I think no big icons also takes away. Mahendra Singh Dhoni is there but not playing. Rohit Sharma is there and thereabout.
True.
And all the big performers of World Cup, they're just turning up. And I can't blame them because they're just looking at the money in the bank. You can't expect them to play with the same fervor and same zest if you play for India, and they won the World Cup. So I think that deflation also is there. So most of the players who did well in the World Cup are not doing well. Hardik Pandya, Bumrah and all that. That is another factor. So I think, and to expect them to just come out there and be geniuses every time is also unfair. So I think, just God forbid, if till the time Virat Kohli is playing, if Virat Kohli goes down and he's not playing, then the viewership will drop by 50%.
Right. It's very true. But perhaps the biggest message from this conversation is that the IPL is not facing a crisis of popularity. It is still very, very popular. But there is a challenge of reinvention over here. Franchise cricket remains enormously powerful. But when the calendar gets very crowded, the spectacle starts feeling repetitive. Even the biggest sporting property in the country cannot take viewer engagement for granted. The real challenge, of course, is whether the IPL can preserve competitiveness, have that unpredictability about it as well, and emotional stakes before the fatigue actually begins to harden into any kind of indifference from viewership. That would be dangerous to the franchise model of cricket. But thank you, Atul Vasan, Nikhil Paramjit Sharma. Thank you for joining us with your perspective on the show tonight. And those are the debates that we are tracking. Of course, two completely different pitches. One is in Beijing, one is closer home, but very important developments that we are tracking, and we'll continue to do so. This is The Big Question. I'm Vikram Oza from me and the team. Good evening.